Lines, and today we get a story from Jacob Sullum out at Reason.com, and this one is a pretty harrowing tale here. Colorado legislators drop plans to cancel marijuana legalization as tax and regulation bills advance. So this is one of the stories we're going to have kind of a good news, bad news segment. The good news in this, reading from Reason here, talk of making marijuana legalization in Colorado contingent on voter approval of cannabis-specific taxes has died down in the state legislature, which has less than a week left in its current session. What they were trying to do here is they're trying to get a certain tax structure passed, and some folks in the legislature there were trying to tie it to keeping to a repeal. That basically, like, if you don't pass this tax plan, then we're going to repeal Amendment 64. And that's what they were trying to do there, to strong arm this particular tax proposal through. Looks like that's not going to happen. And plus, it would be difficult to happen even if they tried. It would require a 2/3 vote of the legislature because it's a constitutional amendment thing, right? And then the repeal measure couldn't be on the ballot this year because in odd-numbered years in Colorado, that's when they do the tax measures, right? So they'd have to wait till 2014 to even try this thing. So it looks like it's dead in the water, not going to happen. So that's some great news coming out of Colorado. But this other bill that gets discussed here at the end of the story, especially considering what we've been going through this past week here on the show, definitely caught my attention. Jacob Sullum writes, a bill the Senate is considering, SB 278, would allow a finding of abuse or neglect when a child's health or welfare is endangered by an adult's marijuana cultivation or consumption. The bill includes an assurance that it does not authorize an investigation based solely on marijuana growing, possession, or use that is legal under Amendment 64. Nor does it explicitly equate production or consumption of marijuana in the presence of a minor with child endangerment, although it says, quote, the unrestricted access to the controlled substance by a child may establish endangerment, end quote, which, quote, may also be established by other circumstances when a child's health or welfare is threatened by the drug activity, end quote. Now, this gives me some pause here because it's one of those situations where why are you writing it into the law when we already have laws against child endangerment? We already have laws against child endangerment if the kid has come in possession of a drug, whether it's legal or illegal, whether the kid is sneaking OxyContins out of the medicine cabinet or whether the kid is sneaking buds out of the baggie. Regardless, we already have laws to be able to deal with that. And it troubles me that we would come up with a specific definition and this specific sort of regulation having to do with cultivation and consumption of marijuana when we don't seem to need that same sort of specific language with respect to the home brewing and consumption of beer. Certainly, if someone is home brewing beer and they're giving growlers of it to their 15-year-old to party with, I'm pretty sure we could come up with a child endangerment case there, and we wouldn't have to have a specific statute to address that. So I can only think that the purpose of trying to put this law together, this SB 278, is to provide some sort of footing, some sort of backing to a child endangerment charge if a kid is caught with a bud at school, or if the grow isn't as enclosed and locked as the cop searching the place would like it to be. Given that we have so many people in law enforcement that do not like the fact that Amendment 64 has passed, and given the fact that we have seen in our own experiences on this show how the authorities will use the threat or the action of taking away people's children as a way to get them to comply when they can't do so otherwise through the law, this gives me concern. SB 278 in Colorado would allow a finding of abuse or neglect when a child's health or welfare is endangered by an adult's marijuana cultivation or consumption. So what will be endangering to the child? Maybe you smoke too often or smoke too much. Is that endangering to the child? You left your pipe on the coffee table where the kid can walk around. Is that endangerment? Is that enough to take your kid away? When you could leave your beer on the coffee table, and I doubt they'd take your kid away. All we want as marijuana consumers is to be treated with the same respect and to be afforded the same rights, privileges, and responsibilities as beer drinkers. If you don't have a specific law about child endangerment with respect to the home brewing and drinking of beer, why should there be one for marijuana? I wish people could just understand it as simply as that. They think us smoking pot is somehow different than people drinking wine or sharing a beer at a picnic.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.